Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Jonathan Oates, Archivist for the London Borough of Ealing, and this is part 2 of my 4-part talk about Victory in Europe and Victory in Japan days in Ealing and environs. Throughout the day, 8th of May, all the districts had church services, special services of Thanksgiving in both the afternoons and the evenings. These were all packed and additional seating had to be supplied. The Vicar of Christ Church in Ealing noted that a sense of humility towards God was needed. He reminded the congregation that the war was not the result of one man or even one country. Even Britain was to an extent culpable. However, he had made Britain his instrument in bringing the world back to a semblance of normality. Members of the London and Middlesex Diocese Change Ringers rang the bells at St Mary's Church in Acton. They rang what is known as Grandsire, a difficult exercise involving over 5,000 changes of bell ringing and lasting 2 hours. Yet, when 4 firemen attempted to hoist the Union flag on the top of the church spire, they found they were unable to do so, and so draped it over the battlements instead. Now, there were many curious scenes that were recorded on that day. A 7-year-old child said, "When I got up, it was war, and when I went to bed, it was peace, all in one day. Isn't it funny?" In Acton, it was noticed that at one house, which had its windows open, 2 men calmly and obstinately playing crib, oblivious to the noise and excitement outside. Well, cribbage is a good card game, but really, to ignore the events of that day seems strange indeed. The first VE baby born in London was born in Acton to Mr. and Mrs. Carter at 43 Palmerston Road. It was a daughter to be called Anne Victoria. Events to mark VE Day carried on in the next few days. There were officially organised events and more street parties. Ealing, Acton, Greenford and Southall witnessed many of these events. They were basically run on the same format. A group of women were the main organisers and would solicit ingredients and foodstuffs needed from their neighbours, as well as tables and chairs being found from the same source. Often, parts of old air raid shelters, now redundant, were used as tables. These would be laid out in streets and children from the locality would come along in the afternoon. There were various sports and races with prizes for the winners. And then there would be food and drink served, cakes decorated with VE inspired messages on the icing, such as "Hurrah for V-Day" or "Bravo England", blancmange, ice cream and jelly. Children were often given a present before leaving. In one instance, this was 2 sixpenny saving stamps, in another a shilling, and some were given a bag of sweets or a mug suitably inscribed to mark the historic nature of the day, e.g. victory. Photographs of children were often taken, but many carried on eating rather than to look at the cameras. In the evening, the parents and other adults would sing and dance, and often bonfires on nearby bomb sites were lit. At Verena Close party in Southall, children served adults food in the evening. At Dorset Avenue, people would pay to jump, dance or spit on a Nazi flag, and over £12 was raised for Red Cross. There were sometimes special guests. The Mayor of Acton endeavoured to attend as many street parties as possible. Children often gave the Mayoress a bouquet. At some, ex-prisoners of war attended, as well as servicemen on leave. A sergeant major who had served in the South African artillery thanked one child and others for having gone without small things in order that they could be used in Red Cross parcels for prisoners of war like himself. A soldier who'd fought in the Far East was asked many questions about the Burmese warriors he had fought with. Additional entertainments sometimes occurred. At one party, 5 dancing dogs were there. At another, there was a ballet and tap demonstration, and yet at another, 2 clowns performed. In one instance, there was a Punch and Judy entertainment. Sometimes an effigy of Hitler was burned. Crowds went up Horsenden Hill and built 2 bonfires. There was almost a third one when a bush inadvertently caught fire and had to be extinguished. Elsewhere in Greenford, the local boys' brigade dusted off their uniforms and marched behind their band in the street. They later burnt an effigy of Hitler in a bonfire on the West Ridge estate. The Rockware factory was lit up with red, white and blue lights. An eyewitness and participant was John Cordon, who lived in Greenford in 1945. On the morning of VE Day, the men strung up Union Jacks and bunting and put up some trestle tables and benches for the party. Us lads built a massive bonfire outside number 25. We got a bit carried away, and by the time we'd finished, it was about 12 feet high. We all dressed up for the party. I was 13 and had just got my first pair of long trousers, so I wore them. Somebody made up some paper hats with a V on them, but I wouldn't wear one. After the party, a photographer came and took a picture, the first photograph of any of us for 6 years. When the tables were cleared away, we had races and games for kids and grown-ups. One mum won a race, but unfortunately the boys holding the finishing line didn't let go when she finished and she fell over. It was a really hot day and they put up some benches on the pavement under a big rowan tree, which was in this bloke's front garden, so that the old folks could sit in the shade. He came out and made them take the benches away, and nobody ever spoke to him again. Of course, we wanted to light the bonfire, but they made us wait until it was a bit dark. When it was lit, it really went up. At one point, we thought we might have to call the fire brigade. It gave off a ferocious heat, marvellous. A bit later on, we put potatoes in the fire. It came out like charcoal, but we still tried to eat them. Then Mr. Saville, the scrap merchant at number 33, brought out the piano into the street. We didn't even know he had one, so you can imagine the surprise when he sat down and played anything we wanted by ear. We sang all the wartime songs, Roll Up the Barrel, Run Rabbit Run, White Cliffs of Dover, We'll Meet Again, and so on. And people danced. Some of the young girls danced together. The boys were much too shy to dance with them, and so we poked fun at them. We thought that was very funny. Then we did the hokey cokey several times and did the conga up and down the road. It was a great atmosphere. Us lads kept putting on more stuff to the fire to keep it going. I think it finished at about midnight. I was so excited I couldn't sleep. I kept getting up and looking out at the glowing embers of the fire, which was only a few yards from my window. The next morning it was just a pile of ashes, and so it was all over. Then we saw it had burned off all the tarmac on the road, a patch of about 12 feet around. The council came up and patched it up, but you could still see the scar for years and years after. That is the end of part 2. Part 3 will be coming shortly. If you like this, please don't forget to take a like and also to subscribe to the YouTube Ealing Libraries account. Thank you.